So this presentation is going to cover the 6 main nutrients. We're going to start with carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. We're going to finish up with vitamins, minerals, and water. Carbohydrates, fats, and proteins are what you call your macros, or the macronutrients, things that you need most of in your day. The reason why you need those in such large amounts is because carbohydrates, fats, and proteins are the only nutrients that provide your body with calories. So let's put that up here. And by the way, if you're taking notes, I would suggest copying this, what's behind me, onto your note sheet, and that way, as we go, you can just fill it in. Okay? So calories are a unit of measure. Calories measure energy. Okay? Carbohydrates, fats, and proteins all contain calories. Therefore, if you don't get enough carbohydrates, fats, and proteins in your diet, you won't have enough energy to do what needs to be done, from basic functions like your heart beating and your brain functioning, all the way through, the extra stuff that you do throughout your day, going to practice, going to school, all that kind of stuff. So really, really important. We're going to start here with carbs, because carbs are your body's preferred source of calories, okay? Carbohydrates can be broken down into 2 categories. You have simple carbohydrates, you have complex carbohydrates, okay? Simple carbohydrates are what we call sugars. Okay, so sugars are anything that end in an OSE. Lactose, glucose, fructose, sucrose, all of those are simple carbohydrates. Okay, lactose comes from milk. All right, so milk and dairy would be considered a simple carbohydrate in some respects. Fructose, fruit. Okay. Also, any of your white carbohydrates, so like regular pasta, white rice, white bread. Okay. So all of those are your simple carbohydrates. Okay. Simple carbohydrates are not bad for you, but you don't want to get most of your carbohydrates from this simple category. Okay. So think about the last time you had Chinese food. I love Chinese food. I really enjoy good lo mein. But even if you have a ton and you're feeling super stuffed, right, after you eat, inevitably 2 hours after you finish your Chinese food, you're starving again, right? It's happened to everybody. That's because with the sauces and the pasta or the rice that you put with the Chinese food, those are all simple sugars. Simple sugars, simple carbohydrates are really easily broken down in your body. So your body goes through them and uses them really, really quickly. And what it doesn't use, it stores as fat. So a couple things happen. A, you're really hungry in a couple hours, so the Chinese food phenomenon. And B, you're storing extra calories than you're not using. Okay? So while these aren't terrible for you, it's not where you want to get the majority of your calories. Where you want to focus your calorie intake when it comes to carbohydrates is with these complex carbohydrates. So complex carbohydrates get broken down again into 2 different categories. You have your starches and you have your fiber. Okay? So starch is a type of complex carbohydrate, or is a type of carbohydrate, and it's considered complex because it's like these simple carbohydrates, just a bunch of them linked together. So since it's a bunch of carbohydrates linked together, it takes your body a lot longer to break it down, and therefore it keeps you full longer, and it uses a sustained amount of energy. Okay. A couple examples of where you can get starch from. One would be rice cereal. Okay. All right. Also, root vegetables like potatoes are a great source of starch. All right. So that brings us to fiber. Fiber is unique in that it's not absorbed into your body. Fiber stays together throughout your digestive system and ends up in your colon. Okay. If you think of fiber, think of it like the liquid plumber of your body. Okay. So like you pour the liquid plumber down the drain when you've got a clog. When you pour the fiber, you eat the fiber, what it does is it goes through, it finds the clog and it pushes things out. Okay, so what's the clog? That's waste or buildup. It can be excess cholesterol, it can be just gunk that stays in our system and doesn't make its way out. So fiber is really great in that it's also been shown to lower your risk for heart disease, lower risk of diabetes, weight loss. It's really, really important nutrient to have in our diet. So it's important to remember fiber is not absorbed. Okay, so it's not converted into energy like the other types of carbohydrates are. Also a great place to find them be those whole grains, seeds. Okay, if you think about a whole grain, right, what makes it whole is that it still has that husk on it, that it's not taken off through the process of making it into whatever food it's becoming. That husk is what contains the fiber. Okay, so looking for whole grains instead of just grains would indicate a higher percent of fiber. Okay, last thing good to know is that each carbohydrate gram contains 4 calories. Okay, so if, for example, on your nutrition label, it tells you that food X has 10 grams of carbohydrates, that means that 40 calories of that one serving is coming from carbohydrates, either sugars, complex carbohydrates, starch, fiber. Okay, so the next nutrient is fats, and fats get a bad rap, but they're actually really important to your diet. There's 3 different types of fats. There's saturated, unsaturated, and trans fats. Okay, so let's start with saturated fats. Saturated fats are fats from animal products. Okay, they are solid at room temperature, so think of butter, or if you make like a pan of bacon, and then you leave the pan there until it cools, that fat that's left in the pan will harden. Okay, so that's saturated fat. So let's put that up here. So it comes from animal products. And it's solid at room temperature. Okay? Coming from animal products like butter. Okay? Fun fact, you don't have to refrigerate butter if it's slightly salted. It's already preserved, and it won't melt on your countertop because it's a saturated fat, solid at room temperature. Okay? Butter, anything from bacon, right? Beef, all that contains saturated fats. Okay, so next we have unsaturated fats. So if saturated fats come from animal sources and are solid at room temperature, then unsaturated fats would have to come from plants and be liquid at room temperature. Okay? So, plant products. Spelling everything right. And liquid at room temp. Okay? So, oils, olive oil, sunflower seed oil, canola oil, all of those are considered unsaturated fats. Even like the oil on top of the jar of peanut butter, you know, when you haven't had some in a while and you open it up and there's that oil that kind of collects at the top, that's unsaturated fat as well. Okay? Let's canola oil. Okay. They used to say that unsaturated fats were much better for you than saturated fats. Now, science is telling us that there's not really a huge difference, but saturated fats do contain higher levels of cholesterol, so it's important to watch that. All right, last one is trans fats, okay? So animal products, plant products, what's left, right? Trans fats are man-made, okay? So they're made when you take an unsaturated fat and you saturate it with another hydrogen. okay? What happens then is it becomes a fat molecule that doesn't break down, okay? These are great when it comes to preserving food, but it's not great when it comes to us eating it. Trans fats, because they can't be broken down, remain in our body forever. So these you're not going to find a whole lot of anymore. Once the FDA figured that out, they were pretty much on their way out. So you don't find trans fats anymore, but it's still important to be on the lookout. So you don't accidentally ingest trans fats. Fats are all, regardless of saturated, unsaturated, or trans, these are all 9 calories per gram, okay? So again, if you're looking at your nutrition label and it reads total fat is 10 grams, okay? That means 90 calories of that food. In one serving of that food, 90 calories of it are fats, whether they're saturated, unsaturated, or trans fat. All right, so that brings us to proteins. So just like everything else, proteins are broken down into 2 subcategories as well. You've got complete proteins and you have incomplete proteins. So what complete and incomplete means? You have 20 amino acids, okay, these little links that your body needs every day. These are called your essential amino acids. Your body makes 11 of them, so you don't need to get those from your food. You already have them inside you. The other 9 are what we call essential amino acids that you need to get from your food. Complete proteins contain all your essential amino acids, whereas incomplete proteins only contain a few of them. Okay, so let's include that. So they contain all, I'm going to put A for amino acids, and then contain just a few amino acids. All right, your complete proteins come from animal sources. Okay, so this is your beef, eggs, dairy. Okay, all these are going to be complete proteins that have all your essential amino acids. These are going to come from plant sources. Okay, nuts are a big one. Tofu, okay, which is soy. So beans, legumes. These are all going to be plant sources. This is really important if you choose to be a vegetarian, or if you're a vegetarian for dietary reasons. It's really important for you to have a good handle on all the incomplete proteins, because you're going to need to eat a variety of those proteins throughout the day in order to make sure that you get all 9 of those essential amino acids. And this one also contains 4 calories per gram. Okay? So if it says it's got 4 grams of protein on that label, 4 times 4 is 16 calories, so that there's 16 calories from protein in that food. Okay, so now we're moving on to vitamins, minerals, and water. So while these do not contain calories, cannot stress that enough, vitamins, minerals, and water, they do not contain any calories. They do not provide your body with any energy, but they are really essential to help with all your body processes throughout the day. Okay, so it's really important that you get these, but they do not contain calories. All right, so let's start with vitamins. It's like a theme. Can't just be straight vitamins, it's got to be broken down into categories. So these are broken down based on how they're absorbed in your body. You will have fat-soluble vitamins, and you also have water-soluble vitamins. Okay, fat-soluble vitamins are vitamins that are absorbed into your body fat and then time released, okay? So these you do not need daily. Okay? Any extra that your body has will be absorbed in your body fat and time released later, so you don't, well, you want to get these in your diet. You don't have to get these every single day. You don't have to worry about getting them every single day. Your body's pretty good at keeping a stash of these, Okay, there are 4 fat-soluble vitamins. They are vitamin A, D, E, and K. Okay, I remember it. ADEC is fat-soluble. ADEC is not a word, but it helps me remember that those are the 4 fat-soluble vitamins. The second one is water-soluble. Now, these you do need to get every day. They're stored in your water, okay? And every day you need to replace that water, right? So these you do need daily, okay? And there are 2 types of water-soluble vitamins. There is the B complex, okay, so B6, B12, all of those, and then also vitamin C. All right, so let's move on to minerals, okay? So minerals can be divided between macro minerals and trace minerals. Macro meaning that you need to get a lot of them every day. Trace meaning that you don't need to get as much of them every day. Okay, not sure exactly how much, we just know it's not as much as the macro minerals. All right, so let's start with the macros. There are 7 macro minerals. We're only going to go through 3 of them. We're going to go with calcium, okay, potassium, and sodium. Okay, so calcium, a great source of calcium is dairy. Calcium helps with bone density, okay? Just so you know, your body won't absorb calcium unless you have plenty of this vitamin D. Okay, so those 2 need to work together. The calcium is one of those that you want to get enough of every single day. Okay, potassium and sodium actually have very similar functions, but they're the opposite of one another. They both work to balance your body fluids. Okay, so your water inside your body. Potassium works to release water from your cells back into your body, and sodium works the opposite way, so it absorbs water. Potassium is found in fruits, okay, and sodium is found in salt, processed foods, okay? So it's very important that we get more potassium than we do sodium, just so that we maintain a hydrated state, okay? Unfortunately, our diets really lend themselves to getting more sodium than potassium, so it's something to really be aware of, all right? Trace minerals, there are 8 total, okay? The only 2 we're going to talk about are iron and zinc. Both of these, beef, pork, are really great sources of both iron and zinc. Iron works by binding itself to your blood cells, okay? Then the oxygen is able to bind itself to the iron, so it helps your blood cells transport oxygen throughout your body, okay? And then zinc aids in your immune system, so avoiding infections, and also you get a cut, zinc helps to regrow those cells so that it doesn't stay an open cut for very long. All right, guys, almost done. We're at our last one. We're at water, okay? And this is going to be short and sweet. Water, you need to get it every day. If you're male, the recommended amount is 14 cups. That's 8 ounces. Okay, so 14 of those 8-ounce cups a day. If you're female, it's recommended that you get at least 10. If you're more active, obviously you're going to want to get more water, but that should be the minimum for the average individual. Okay, water is important. We're going to cover 3 major reasons. Water aids in, first, lubrication, digestion, and then finally this idea of homeostasis. Okay, so first is lubrication, meaning that it lubricates the joints. You have this fluid in between all your joints. It's known as synovial fluid. This fluid will build up, so when you crack your knuckles, that's what you're releasing. You're hearing the popping of that synovial fluid. But basically, synovial fluid is essentially water, and without it, it would be really painful to move our joints. So it's really important to have that water in there so it doesn't hurt when you move. Second is digestion, moving everything through your body, moving waste through your body. Water helps to move it along. And then finally, this idea of homeostasis. So homeostasis means that your body is maintaining a steady state. So that 98.6 degrees, a steady state of hydration, and water helps to maintain that body temperature and that hydration internally. All right? So I hope that made sense, guys. I hope you took lots of notes. I hope that this helps, okay? Please let me know if you have any questions or anything that I didn't cover.